Hello, friends. Welcome back to Friends and Favorites with your host, me, Marisa Serafini. Today, I have a good friend of mine, Julana DIZON. She is a fashion sports model, fitness sports model. We've known each other for like 6+ years. We first met at AfterBuzz TV, hosting a bunch of television shows, anything from Hallmark to country music shows. And then we bonded over books and movies and television and all that. So, Julana, welcome to my show.
Hi, thank you. I know it's funny because my first memory of meeting you, well, first I was like, oh, she's also Filipino. And then I was like, oh, and she likes books and she likes Disney. And I was like, I think this girl is going to be a friend of mine.
Yeah, I love that. I think we bonded over that pretty quickly too. And I was like, all right, this girl's also Filipino, but she loves country music. And both of us being out here in Los Angeles was like, because I find country music fans harder to find out here. They're like more few and far between than they are in the
Totally.
Midwest and the South, where you're from Florida. But I find them harder out here, and especially like once you find them, you just kind of want to latch onto them, be like, "You're my friend," despite the fact of like everything else. But you love country music, so we already have that going for us.
Yeah, we don't have to hang out, but at least we can go to country concerts together.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have gone to a performance together. That was Riley Smith. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
Mhm.
Yeah, my first real question, I think you kind of already went into it, but is there like a moment or a turning point where you're like, we were more than just co-hosts doing after shows together, where we really became friends?
Oh gosh, that's hard. I don't think so. I think with you, it was just like an immediate liking of you the very first time I met you. You know, some people you just feel like, yeah, that person, I
Yeah.
like them. That was like the first day I met you, and then you already worked at AfterBuzz, and I'm always really drawn to people that are like very kind of like professional and seem like they have their life together and know what they're doing. And I felt that way about you. I felt like you
Aw.
were a really responsible person. And yeah, I always tend to really value those qualities in people. So I think all of that plus the things I said before, I immediately liked you. And then we just ended up hosting shows together. And I was excited to get on the shows that you were hosting because I wanted to get to know you more.
Mhm.
But I feel like it was just a pretty gradual thing, like seeing you at AfterBuzz once a week, twice a week for, like you said, maybe 2-3 years.
Yeah. I love that too, because when I first met you, I was like, all right, first of all, this woman's gorgeous. We all know this, but then I was like, but she's also super cool. And she loves country music, but she also loves Hallmark, which is another thing that's hard to find out here in Los Angeles. It was like Hallmark fans are also few and far between. And when I think our first show together was Chesapeake Shores, it's been a
Mm.
few years because, like, remind me, you can correct me if I'm wrong, if Chesapeake Shores came first before the Real Country after show or Nashville?
Yeah, I
No,
think
we
I
didn't do
think
Nashville
Chesapeake.
together, did we?
I didn't do Nashville.
Yeah,
That was
that's right.
before my time, which
Right.
I was sad about because I
Aw,
love that
that
show.
was a great show.
Um, Chesapeake Shores was my first show, and then we moved into Real Country, and I think some other stuff. Did you do the Yellowstone show?
I did not,
No.
no. But I remember you telling me to watch it. You're like, "It's so good, and I love traveling," and you've been to Yellowstone.
Did you watch it?
No, I haven't.
Have you watched?
I
Oh my
haven't
God.
watched it yet. No, I know. That's totally on me. That is it on Paramount? Paramount Plus?
It's on Paramount.
Okay. It's on my queue.
Mhm.
I feel so bad because every other show I've talked to someone and they're like, watch this, watch this. I was like, it's on my list. I'm slowly getting to it. But there's so much content out there. Yeah, Yellowstone's still on it. Back then, we only had this short amount of time when you were coming at AfterBuzz, but then there was the night where you're like, can I buy you dinner? I'm like, for what? And we went and got, I think I got like the unhealthiest cheeseburger that we got at that mom and
Yeah, I
pop.
remember that.
Yeah, that was a great night. And I think that was probably the first time I was like, all right, Julana's awesome. Like, just as a person, because out of the hundreds of hosts that came in and out of AfterBuzz over the years that I've spent there, there were only a handful of hosts that actually were appreciative of the hard work that we put in. It was a very thankless job. And I'd have to say, for the short amount of time you were there, you were one of those hosts that was appreciative, that was thankful, and actually like would give me a gift card. I was like, holy shit, someone thought of us. And but you truly and it wasn't like out of obligation or something, but like that's just who you are as a person, that you really were there to build your content, make your reels and all that. And I gained more respect for you as a person because you really did genuinely care and were truly thankful. And I was like, all right, she's someone that, she's a good person. Out of all the hosts, I
Oh,
was like,
oh, thank you.
not as many people said
Yeah.
thank you.
Well, actually, now that you mention it, I do remember that night. And when I'm in the valley and I drive by that spot, I'm always like, I have a vague memory of like, I think that's the place that we ate
Oh
at.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, you're right. I think that probably would be, maybe that was the turning point where we took it out of the studio
Hmm.
into like real life, and like actually started talking about life stuff, not work stuff. But
Yeah.
I was always really thankful for my time at AfterBuzz, because when I wanted to get into hosting, like I came to LA to be a model and I already had a career built up from Florida. So that was kind of an easy transition for me. But when I got here, I realized, wow, there's all this other stuff going on that I've never done. There's hosting, there's commercials, there's acting, there's all this stuff that's a little bit more fun and challenging than modeling.
Hmm.
And so I kind of just latched onto the idea of hosting, and I had a friend that referred me to AfterBuzz. So when I got there, I was like, oh my God, this place is amazing. There's all these people, there's producers, there's a studio, there's cameras, there's microphones. Like I didn't know anything. And it was like so many people coming in and out wanting to be hosts, and for whatever their reasons were for wanting to be hosts, but I really just wanted to learn. And I've always been the type of person that learns best from like professional people. I mean, I can self-teach myself a lot, but some things you just can't.
Right.
So I was really thankful for you guys that you were like helping us and teaching us and, really like training us. And, like you said, you worked there, but it wasn't like the most glamorous job in the world for you guys.
Oh heck no. Yeah, people, because I was there in the mornings, afternoons, and kind of bled into the early nights. I mean, in the early days when we used to be at the house in Encino, that was before your time. It like I did everything from sun up to sundown. And then, because we were doing so much content, so many shows, and I was young, we're human. We need sleep. And, we were just burning ourselves out with all the stuff that we were doing. Between the staff, we had to figure out a schedule where we weren't killing ourselves every day. Because, working 14, 16 hours a day, every single day, that you're going to burn out. So we had to figure out how to like stagger our hours. So like there would be some overlaps during the day, and then like at night, I'd be able to go home and actually go to bed at like 9 o'clock. Even though that's when
Mhm.
most shows are going on. But I was more the morning person, and I worked with a bunch of 20-year-old guys who were more the night owls. They like staying up at night. I was like, that's fine. No one wants to be at the studio at 8 a.m., so I'll be that person. And it was easier for me because for the first 4 or 5 hours, I got to be by myself or with, like, maybe one other person. So it was quiet in the morning, but I was doing prep, turn everything on, prep all the shows, what have you. And then everyone would come pouring in maybe after 3 or 4 p.m., and that's when it got busy at night. That's what everyone saw. But by that time, I had already put in an 8, 9-hour day, and I go home. So,
Mhm.
yeah, it's like a lot of people don't really realize all the things that happen behind the scenes, but yeah, that was a blip in our lifetime now.
I would say it was a considerable blip in your
Yeah, it
lifetime.
was, it was. But rest in pieces AfterBuzz TV, because that place is no longer going. But that is how we met, and I can't discount, because I met a lot of great people there. That out of the hundreds of people that came in and out, there were a good many people that I'd still like to keep in my life, even though that place is gone, and you were definitely one of them. And I was like, yeah,
And
Julana,
here we are.
you gotta you gotta keep on to her, because when you moved to Tennessee, I was really sad. I was like, oh no, she's
Aw.
leaving. And I think I texted you. I was like, I always appreciated when you were at AfterBuzz for the short amount of time. But I was like, if I ever go out there, I'll come visit you." But yeah, and then you came back like immediately afterwards. I was like, all right, she's back. Here we are.
Yeah, that was crazy. That year right after COVID, I think it was 2021, or we left LA, moved to Nashville at the end of 2020, and then came back 3 months later. And everyone was like, what are you guys doing? Why do you keep moving? Why do you keep driving across the country?
He's like, because we like it. But you love
Yeah.
traveling. And I think that's something that I do vicariously through you, because you travel way more than I do. And you've got to see a lot of cool places based on, your job. You're able to travel, but also based on your personal interest of traveling. So I'd say, what would you say were one or two of your ultimate favorite places that you love to travel to?
I think my favorite place is South Africa.
Okay.
And I say that because I've been there twice, and both times I loved it more than any other place I'd been. So the first time that I went was right before I moved to Los Angeles, and I went to Cape Town for 3 months on a modeling contract. And that was really the first time that I was modeling overseas, not knowing anybody, living on my own in a foreign country. And I just had the best time there. It's such a beautiful place. I would describe it like this. Imagine that you live in LA and the weather's always amazing, and everybody is international. So everybody has accents from all over the world.
Mhm.
They're super nice. Nobody cares what industry you're in, and everything is 17 times cheaper.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty much what Cape Town is like. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, they describe it as like it's like the Miami of that side of the world because of the weather and everything.
That's awesome. Like, literally my last conversation, I was telling someone that I would love to go to Cape Town. And then
Yeah.
coincidentally, you're like, "It's one of my favorite places." Okay, so have you been there twice now?
So I went there. So I've been to South Africa twice. That time I was in Cape Town. The second time I just went a couple months ago in January, and I went to a completely different area um, for safari. So I stayed
Right.
there for like 10 days. Kind of like in the northern part of the country. It's in a region called Shlushlui.
Okay.
And that was really cool because we were like not in the city at all. We were in the middle of nowhere. I mean, just to get there, I had to fly to the capital of South Africa, which is Johannesburg. And then I had to fly to a different city. And then I had to get in a car and drive like 4 hours into the middle of the bush.
Oh, wow.
So it's like very remote, but everything out there is just so awesome. And then we were just doing wildlife stuff for like 10 days straight, like safaris every day, water safaris, land safaris. Like we went to a cheetah conservation center. I literally like took a picture like 5 feet away from a cheetah, which I never thought ever would be possible. I mean, you
Wow.
definitely can't do that. Like in America, they won't let you do that, but you can, there's more lax rules when you go overseas to other
When you
countries.
go to their
Um,
natural habitat, you're like,
yeah,
"Yeah,
when you go to
sure."
their natural habitat. Yeah, and just like seeing the animals in in their natural habitat, it's like I thought I wouldn't really be affected because I love animals and I see them
Mhm.
all the time and I used to work with them and I like go to the zoos a lot. But seeing an animal when you're on safari because it's chosen to come up and look at you is a crazy feeling. Like you can't even explain it. You just have to go there and experience it.
Yeah, and that's awesome because, I mean, you love animals, I love animals. Yeah, I know you have a degree in biology, and you also have a travel show about, where you mix your love of travel, but with animals in that scientific aspect. And I think that's so cool. You marry those two together. What is it about animals that, what's your favorite thing about animals that like really interests you and like really sparked that passion?
I think it's just because they're so pure and innocent
Hmm.
in a way. and you can be there with them and not have to talk, but you can feel and you can see and you can, you can just be there in the moment with animals. I think that's something that I really love. And I mean, I've always loved animals. Ever since I was little, I told my mom, first I wanted to be a tiger trainer. And then I just, got a bio degree so that I could be like a zookeeper animal trainer,
Mhm.
which I did. But yeah, I don't know. I've always just been really fascinated by them, and I love learning about them because it's so crazy. Like when you watch all these wildlife documentaries, it blows my mind how every single species has developed some type of thing that helps them survive, like adaptation or evolution or feature. I mean, nature is incredible.
Agreed.
Whether it's like, a big animal, a lion, or like the tiniest ant, like there's something interesting and unique about it. And I just find that so fascinating and want to tell people all the time.
No, that's awesome because I love that too. It's the minutia of like how we as just species survive, you know? Like we are human beings, we and science and that nature is like we've had to adapt and evolve with the our environments, with people. I talked about in a prior conversation that just like these social aspects of us humans and like that need to be with other people, especially during the pandemic, like I felt it more where like, oh, I need someone to talk to, or like I need someone to hug right now. And just like us humans, I didn't realize, I was like, no, we really do depend on other people. Because I consider myself an introvert, but I didn't realize how much I actually needed other people. Like, I needed to be more extroverted just to, like, feel good. And also see that with animals, the flocks and herds of or pods of just other animals being with other animals and how they survived over all the years. I think that's fascinating that because that translates in, like, so many different things.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily that you need a lot of people, but you need a few people that you feel like understand you and that you can connect with and talk to. Like I have one, I would say I have a good amount of friends, but I have one best friend that I talk to every day.
Mhm.
And that pretty much fulfills my need for social interaction, because we have very much the same thinking, the same ideals about life. And just to know that one other person totally understands you and feels the same way, I think that's enough. You don't need 100 people to feel that way. You just need one,
Yeah.
two, maybe.
I totally agree because I have, one or two of those people out here in Los Angeles, and all I do is just send that person a text, be like, "Hi," and that's it. And then they'll like send an emoji, and that's like our whole conversation for the day, and be like, "That's it." um, and I think that's so important because that need for connection that I definitely have felt more in the last few years. And just learning. You love learning, I love learning. I like to consider us, forever students in that way. And that's why I, created the show, is to learn more about my friends. And because I know a good amount about you, but do I know everything about you? No, absolutely not. So here we are. So with the whole traveling, and how long have you been doing that? Like, more, was that something you developed in your adult life, or were you always traveling as a kid?
I would say I developed it in my adult life. Um, when I was a kid, I don't remember traveling a lot. I grew up in Florida. We pretty much went to Disney World all the
Yeah,
time. That was like my mom's thing. I even remember telling her like, "Hey mom, maybe like one year we could not go to Disney 8 times and we could like go on a trip."
right.
But it was always Disney World, which I'm fine with. I love Disney. But once I got into college, I started working, and I think that's when I started traveling. I was in a sorority, and so we would travel with the sorority to like, we would have regional conventions and meetings, and then we would travel around our state to visit other chapters. And that was really fun. And then when I started making my own money, I was saving it mostly for traveling. Like I wasn't really interested in buying of products and, expensive things. I was always just saving it for traveling. So like as the years went on, I started by doing one big like international trip every other year.
Okay.
So let's say one year I went to like London and Paris. And then the next year I would just do like trips in the States. So like smaller trips or local trips.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would save up, and the next year I would like go somewhere else big. And that's kind of how I started doing it. And then once my modeling really got going, I was traveling a lot for work, which was fulfilling that, adventurous side of me. And if I could, I would stay an extra day and like explore the city. So that's kind of how it started. And then it just sort of became a lifestyle that I was like really excited about. Obviously, if you can travel and make money, that's the best case scenario.
Yeah.
But like I said, then I was like, well, I also want to travel to explore. And then when because at first, like Instagram and YouTube and that stuff wasn't really around, like when I was in college.
Mm-hmm.
And like even after college, really, once I kind of moved to LA is when I really started seeing like, oh, people are doing this, like making their own videos. And so a couple years ago is when I really got into being like, okay, let me try. And I remember I went to Thailand like in 2017, and I had a GoPro for the first time, and I was like, I'm going to vlog my Thailand trip.
Yeah.
And I just took all these random clips, and I came home and I was like, cool, I'm going to make the video now. And it was so bad. Like it's just a montage of random clips of Thailand. And as I was making, I was like, wow, there's no story here. It's just a bunch of random pieces of Thailand,
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, okay, that's interesting. So then I learned a lot, and it's been a long process, and I'm still learning, and I'm still kind of at the point now where the videos I'm making like have some sort of like workflow and storyline, and but there's so much that goes into it. It's not just like I'm going to vlog my day.
Yeah, no, I love how you bring that up because you and I are very similar in that way because, I am a filmmaker but even though I don't travel as much as you, there are days where I have like a special event happening. And I was like, this is cool because I know no one else or like there are only a handful of people that get to experience this. But I like to like show people my viewpoint of this special day that not a lot of people would actually see. And then there was that there was that time I was recording everything, and then I looked over the footage. I was like, no one understands the context of this. No one knows why it's important. No one even knows where it's at or what we're doing. So like that storytelling direction of seemingly random clips, like you said, I definitely understood that. And I think as a filmmaker, that's just my creative sensor. Like, no, there has to be something to understand here. Otherwise, it just like
Mm.
it looks like ADHD garbled mess. They're like, somehow this is important. Yeah,
Yeah,
I feel like you and I both had struggled in that way, and I think that's the process of learning. Is like you do something, you realize what you're missing, and then you improve for the next time. But I've seen your
mhm.
stuff. I would love to see your Thailand video. Show me, cause I've never been to Thailand. Again, living vicariously through you.
Yeah, maybe I should do like a here's where I started and here's what I evolved to.
Oh, I know. Oh my gosh. Cause I'm an editor now and so in college and in high school, I used to do fan videos of my television shows. My favorite ones that I like Charmed, Buffy, Smallville.
Oh my God, you were doing
Oh,
you were
I
doing talk
totally
shows before AfterBuzz?
I was a vidder, is what the YouTube term would call
A
when we
vidder?
a vidder, yeah. Back okay,
Never
so this is
heard that
like
term.
2009, 2010. Um, I don't even know if that term's around anymore, but back then we called ourselves vidders, where we would edit fan made videos of our television shows, our favorite relationships, shippers and stuff. And I did that a lot. And I looked at that, I look at those videos every once in a while. I was like, gosh, I've come a long way. I was like, that's a bad cut. That cut could have like lasted 2 seconds longer or something. So just to see your progress now after 10 plus years, I was like, no, you got to applaud yourself for like where we started and where we are now. But that's the process
Totally.
of being an artist.
And it is exciting. And I found that, it's hard to do all the things, right? It's hard to be the talent and also plan the shoots and the destination and film it and edit it and fix the audio. And it's hard to do all the things. Like, it's so hard.
Mm-hmm.
But I have learned that I actually really enjoy the aspect of editing because I enjoy having that control over telling the story.
Yep.
And and it is hard because you see improvement sometimes in really tiny increments and it feels like you're not getting anywhere. And you'll go through like valleys and then you feel like you're climbing the hill and then you'll be on top of the hill and then you're like, and I've kind of just been learning that that's just how it goes. And you
Mm-hmm.
just got to ride the wave.
I love how you and I both struggled in that way, just this process of art as us as artists just growing in that sense. Going back to your animal love, I know you love so many different kinds. I feel like I have an idea, but I might not know. What would you say your favorite animal is?
My favorite animal is a tiger.
Tiger. Okay. What kind of tiger? Like, I mean, there are a bunch out there. Specific tiger?
I'm not
No
really
idea.
picky on the type of tiger.
Okay.
Tigers have always been my favorite since I was little. I don't know why. I must have one day just seen it and been like, that's my favorite. And then
Yeah.
it's like the one decision that I've stuck with my whole life. So that says something.
Tigers. I mean, I appreciate that because tigers, they're big, they're scary, they're humongous cats, and I'm personally more of a dog person. But tigers, when the tigers that you see in like Disney movies are for the most part fun and friendly. I just keep thinking Raja from Aladdin. I don't know why.
Mhm.
Or Tigger, from Winnie the Pooh. Those are the kind of tigers
Oh,
that
yeah.
I grew up with. But yeah, there is a fascination with tigers. Yeah. No, that's awesome. Tigers. I wouldn't have
What's your favorite
expected
animal?
that. Oh, how boring am I? See, I mean, first my immediate response was dog because I grew up with them, but everyone's gonna say dog. I did have a fascination for dolphins though. Um, for the longest time, I wanted to be a marine biologist, and I think
Mm,
have you ever seen the movie 51st Dates with Adam
yep.
Sandler, Drew Barrymore? I always wanted
Uh-huh.
to have Adam Sandler's career in that movie. He was like that marine zoologist taking care of all the the marine
Oh,
animals
yeah.
there. Where he got to play with the dolphins and the walruses and the penguins there. I was like, that job. I want to do that. For like, I don't know, the better part of 3 or 4 years, where I think once I got to high school, that's where everyone explores their options, and I pivoted away from that. But I did have a fascination with dolphins for the longest time. So I
Mm,
do. Um, and you know what's funny? So funny. Yeah, are you a Harry Potter fan?
of course.
Yes, of course. That's also why we're friends. My Patronus is actually a dolphin. I was like,
Wait, how
that's
do you know
not
that?
a shock to me. So if you
Did
go,
you take a test or something?
yeah, I totally did. Remember, were you ever part of the MuggleNet, the Harry
I
Potter,
don't think so.
yeah, MuggleNet? So there was I believe it's still around, the MuggleNet website. You go in, you get sorted into whatever house. It was a Ravenclaw. Surprise, surprise. And then you can also take all these personality tests, and I got dolphin. But the thing that like really was surprising to me is the description of why a dolphin, that they're good in groups, so positive dolphins, but they also can thrive on their own. And I was like,
Mm,
yeah, I could
I
see
feel like
that.
that totally fits you.
Yeah, I think so. And then also they have a natural maternal instinct where they like to take care of other people and their needs. I was like, yep, that's also me. So when I got a dolphin, I was like, yeah, that doesn't surprise me whatsoever. So definitely do it.
I want to take the
Do it.
test.
Yeah, let me know your results. And I mean, I was probably in college when that happened, so that was like already 10 plus years ago. Uh yeah, but dolphin, I'd have to say, would definitely be my close second. You said you used to go to Disney a lot, and that's I feel like we kind of bonded over Disney too. What would you say is your
Mhm.
favorite Disney movie or Disney thing that you like to do?
My favorite Disney movies were always Aladdin and then later on Tangled.
Oh, okay.
I love Tangled. I actually just watched it like last Saturday morning.
Did you? Nice. What is it
Yeah,
about
because I
Tangled
woke
you
up
love?
super late. I don't know. I think it's I think the music in it is really great.
Hmm.
Like I love doing the sing-alongs, and then I like the floating lanterns. I've
Oh,
always wanted to go to one of those lantern festivals, and it's not far. I mean, they do it in Las Vegas, I
yeah,
think, Nevada.
they do.
I'm like pointing out my window like it's right down the street.
I love
It's
this
not far. It's like
conversation because like I'm loving you every more 5 minutes. Because seriously, I love the lantern scene. That's my favorite in that movie. Also, years ago, actually, I signed up to go to one of the lantern festivals. It was down in San Diego. So, Los Angeles
mm,
to San Diego. It's not that far of a drive. I could definitely do that, within a day. Um, I was totally single, so I was planning on going by myself just to, be part of that spectacle. But then they ended up postponing the event. I don't know for whatever reason. And then they moved it to like San Bernardino. I was like, I don't want to go to
mm.
San Bernardino for that. So I ended up not going. And so I've always wanted to go to the Lantern Festival. It's still in the back of my mind. One sweet day I'll go. So if you want to go, I will definitely go with you. Just
Yeah, it sounds like
say
we
the
should probably
day.
go together.
Absolutely. I was like, okay, because I was planning on going by myself. I was like, if anyone has the same interest, do it. But yeah, I
Mhm.
will definitely take you up on that.
Yeah, that's the hard thing about living in LA is planning and getting people to commit to things. I've tried to be, I do think that when I moved here, I was a little bit like that. And I get it because it's this whole thing of like nobody wants to commit because there's so much stuff going on and you don't want to be tied down to anything. But after a while, then it's like, well, but then you just don't end up doing anything. So I've tried to be really conscious about finding things I want to do, committing to them, and like I kind of have a small roster of people that I know
Mhm.
will A, respond to me, and then B, stick with that decision.
Yeah, I know that, and that's the same thing too. Because again, with my introvertness, it's like, yeah, I want to be invited, but do I want to go? It's the question. And I'm like, and I know that sounds terrible, and I admit that, but it's more so if it's something that like really sparks my interest. Heck yes, I will schedule it properly. I will put aside time, go out and hang out with my friends. If I know it's something fulfilling, if I know it's something fun, um, yeah, I'll definitely go. And and I admit I just went to a social event a few weeks ago, and people were like, "Marissa, you're here. I haven't seen you in 4 years." I was like, "I know." I'm that kind of person that was like, because I don't go out as often, but if I get invited and I go, I was like, "Yeah, I said I was going to be here, so why are you surprised?"
Yeah, and I think that's the difference too between doing things and doing things that you find fulfilling. Because if you're just doing things for the sake of, well, other people are doing it, or I should be social, or maybe I can network there, then you're more likely to not go because you actually don't really care about it. But I'm the same way. If it's something that I want to do, I will 100% do it. And I've had a list of things that I wanted to do in California since I moved here. And I haven't done any of them because it's been hard to find people to go with. Like, for example, I've been wanting to go to Knott's Berry Farm for like 7 years. And I'm finally going to go because
Yes,
I was like, you know what? I'm going. I bought the tickets and I
yes,
asked some people and like nobody said they could go. But I was like, fine, my husband, you're coming with me.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I
first of
think
all,
it's
I
that.
love
Just
Knott's Berry. I've been there twice. Definitely is. So, have you been there yet, or you are going?
never been there.
Okay,
I'm going in 2 weekends.
nice. Okay, so when you go, seriously, and I think you'll thank me later. But get the funnel cake with boysenberry on top. Yeah,
I'm going for the
boysenberry.
boysenberry festival.
Yes, do it.
That's the whole reason I'm going.
Yes, you see, this is why we're friends.
I was like, I don't know what a boysenberry is,
So
but I've seen them advertise this festival for 7 years, and I want to find out what it is, and I want to taste it,
it's
and I want to go
so
eat all the
good.
food.
Yeah, I bought a boysenberry sauce, in a can, no less. So I know it's gonna last for a very long time, and you can spread it on toast, whatever. It's so good. If anything, because I just went to Knott's a few months ago, probably November. It was back in November, and it is so much fun. You can walk around, you get a little bit of history, and I myself am a Peanuts fan. The Charles Schultz Peanuts. So there's a whole like section of the park where it's like all Snoopy characters. So it's really cool. Yeah, have fun. Like, yeah, I wish I had known. I would have totally gone with you.
Well, there's still tickets. You can come.
Oh, well, you are going with your husband, so I feel like you should enjoy it
Well, no,
on your own.
there's some. We found another couple that's going to come that has a child. She's like 7 or 8.
Nice.
And I was like, my plan was, well, I'm friends with the girl who's his wife, and the guy is on Carson's show. So I was like, and they have a kid. So the kid will be excited to go. So if I get her dad to get excited, then Carson's friends with her dad, then Carson will be excited to go. Because it sucks to go somewhere like a theme park when the person you're with is also like, okay, this is fine, but like, when can we go home?
Yeah.
So it's kind of this master plan. So there are a couple people going. You could totally come if you want.
Oh, that's awesome. I love how you like strategically plan that out. Like, no, we gotta get this person to be excited to enjoy the experience. Yeah, the first time I went, I totally got a picture with Snoopy. So that just enjoy it. And I was like 29 at the time. So I was a full grown ass woman enjoying my time at Knott's. It is so much fun. I hope you love it. That's awesome. What other things are on your list?
Oh man. There's a bunch of places around Ojai
Okay.
that I want to go to. And Ojai itself, I've never been there. I want to do a Big Sur road trip. There's a place I found. I'm not sure how far up the coast it is, but it's called like Glass Beach, I think, where it's all sea glass, pieces of sea glass. Looks incredible. I'm like obsessed with sea glass. Like every time I open my Instagram Explorer, it's just people making like little piles of sea glass.
That's awesome.
So I want to do that. And there's a bunch of wildlife places that I want to go visit and like document for YouTube. I think that's it. Or in here in California.
Ojai is gorgeous because I'm a big hiker. I once went with a bunch of, maybe not a bunch, there were about 5 of us. We went one Saturday all the way to Ojai and went on a big hiking trail, and we walked for like 5 hours. And none of us were bored because it's so freaking gorgeous out there. Like seriously, 360-degree turn, you could take a picture of anything. And I know you're big into photography as well, so yeah, if you want to go hiking in Ojai, hit me up because I will definitely go. It's a gorgeous area.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, something else that's on my list is Channel Islands. Have you ever been there?
No. What's that?
Have you heard of it?
No.
Okay. I heard about it from my friend. Actually, here's a common friend plug. Alice Ford, who I met at AfterBuzz.
Yeah.
Who does also a ton of travel. Alice was the first person that told me about this national park called Channel Islands, which is just off the coast of California. And apparently it's like this incredible wildlife spot where there's all these different islands, and different islands have different wildlife, and you can do all these naturey, outdoorsy, adventure things. And ever since then, it's just been on my list. I really haven't done like a deep dive to see everything that's available there, but I know that it would be like an incredible place to go spend a few days at.
Oh, awesome. Okay. So I honestly, with the help of Google, I looked it up, and it's not that far from Los Angeles. I mean, it's like right off of Santa Barbara. which is, you know, like,
Yeah, it's just like probably a short drive and then a little boat ride to get there.
yeah, okay, cool. See, I love learning about other places because I have a running
Mhm.
list of places here in California to go to. I've never been to Catalina Islands, and I know it's not that far, but and there are times when I'm like, Marissa, come on, it's right there. What's stopping you?
Yeah, that was a place that was on my list too. We actually went there for we went for our 1-year wedding anniversary,
Okay.
but we have to go back because we had like a crazy weekend and a crazy night the night before, and we were so tired, and we like drove down there, took the boat, explored Catalina, and then went back the same day. So it was a lot. If you go there, I
Wow.
definitely recommend you should probably stay one night on the island, but it was really cute. And that's the thing, there's so many incredible places in California to go that are like between 1 and 3 hours away from LA. And then before you know it, 8 years go by and you're like, how come I haven't been to any of these places that I wrote down when I moved to California?
Yep. Yeah,
So,
I'm still in that same
uh,
boat because I've been out here for 10 plus years and I still haven't been to Catalina. I'm like, come on, Marissa, you're a grown ass woman. You could take yourself to an island. That's
mhm.
fine. I have traveled by myself. I went to Vancouver twice by myself. So I was like, I know I'm capable. I don't know what's stopping me. Maybe just that the whole traveling by myself was like, I kind of want to experience it with like somewhere new. I want to experience it with someone else too. Because God forbid, we are America. We don't know like what's safe or like what places are like truly safe to travel by yourself, and us being, young, beautiful women going by ourselves, it's different for us.
Yeah, and that's always been my favorite part of traveling too, is like creating those memories with people that you don't get in your day to day. Like if
Hmm.
you travel with somebody, it really creates a different kind of a bond, and you have different experiences that you would never have. You're put in different situations. You learn so much about that person and that place that you're in. So that's always really been the real appeal for me, is like I do like to see new places and meet new people and new cultures and stuff, but um I also really like it best for the memory making part of it.
Hmm. Absolutely. It's because it's those memories that like bond you together for the rest of your life. Um, yeah, and I've been told I'm actually really fun to travel with. So if you ever want to
Oh yeah.
travel, hit me up. No, because I agree. You definitely learn more about people who you travel. Like you kind of get to the point where people's true colors really come out, and like you see how people face challenges. Say like you missed a connection to somewhere. Like how do you react? How do you pivot? How do you figure something out? The whole problem solving was like, all right, if we miss this bus, we could just take this bus to this place instead. So it's like you see how people problem solve, and how they tackle it. Is it's different. And that's where
Mhm.
you truly learn, like, okay, calm down, we're fine. It's not like someone's chasing us or something. It's just like some people can't handle that pressure, and some people are just like go into right problem solving mode. And you see that a lot with people.
Mhm. Or just what their natural energy is like, and or how adventurous they are.
Hmm.
If you're in a place, like some people like to just hang out and chill, and some people want to see every single thing that they can see. And I've been on trips with both types of people. I would say I fall somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
But it, both of those extremes are interesting to deal with. Like I've really found the difference between traveling and vacationing over the past like year or so,
Hmm.
because my husband, he likes to vacation. He likes to go to a tropical place and lay on the beach
Yep.
and swim. And I'm like, cool. Like, is there
But
something we could do?
yeah.
Is there like we go see this place or go visit that farm? I don't know. But like prior to that, and then I've learned to love it. I'm like, oh, actually, like this is nice. Like not every day when you travel has to be jam packed.
Hmm.
But before that, I was always the person that was like, how many things can I see in a day for the most budget friendly circumstance?
Yep.
and that is really tiring. So I'm trying to find a good balance between both.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you and I are so similar that way because I was just telling someone else that I'm such a scheduled person. And I don't know if that's just the woes of my job that cuz like everything I have to do, like all my meetings are scheduled. I have to talk to this person at this time, and like I'm such a scheduled person. But also me personally, like I respect people's time and I respect my time too. So when it is my time, I like to schedule my free time of like, all right, I'll spend an hour doing this, I'll spend 2 hours going to this place, what have you. So I am a person, I find it hard to relax sometimes because sometimes I do just want to enjoy everything, but also see everything in my free time. So, what would you say
Yeah,
is your favorite way to relax?
I just like to probably read. My in
Yeah.
here in LA, my favorite way to relax is I'll take a book and I'll go sit at the pool in the sunshine and I'll just read.
Mhm.
That's the best for me.
Oh my god. It's so funny because, like, no, seriously, we are two peas in a pod. Because I'm the exact same way. Someone gave me a hard time for cutting our conversation short, like completely somewhere else, not via Zoom. Because I'd be like, okay, nice talking to you. I'm gonna go read a book. And they're like, oh, wait, sorry, I didn't realize our conversation was done. And I was like, no, I have to go read now. Because that's my favorite way to relax too. Um, calms the mind. As you can tell, I'm a little squirrely, I'm a little ADHD. Um, but I love reading because the storytelling, character development. I wanted to be a lit major for the longest time as well. I wanted to have a lot of different careers, but then I got
Yeah, you did.
yeah, I got to the point where I like, all right, but like, what could a English literature major do for me? Coming from Illinois, there weren't a lot of options other than be either an English teacher or a writer. I do write too, but yeah, growing up, you might appreciate this. The house where I grew up, there's a backyard kind of deck thing that my parents had, and, like, definitely during the summer, especially where the sun placement was, the sun would, like, beam down right on this deck all through, like, May through August, and it was great. And my parents knows how much I love reading. They put a chair out there. You have to walk on, like, these cobblestones. There's a pathway back there, and I would call it Marissa's Oasis. And
Aw,
yeah, so
that's
in the summer, my parents, if they couldn't find me, they would just go back there, and they knew I was right there reading. So, yeah.
wow, what a perfect, quiet, well-behaved child you must have
I
been.
know. I gave my parents, like, so many problems. No, actually, I was the most behaved out of, all my parents' children. Um, yeah. I'd like to think
Yeah, I've always been a big reader.
were you a big problem child? No? Yeah.
When I was little, I was very quiet and self-contained.
Okay.
I think I would just entertain myself a lot. I always read too when I was little. Um, my grandma used to take me to the library and I would come back with like literally 20 books
Mhm.
and I would read all day long after school. Um, I think in my teenage years, I was a little troublesome
Were you?
because
Okay.
I was developing into my own person in high school. I was, I got, I was a little troublesome. Nothing ever like serious or
Mhm.
like really bad. Like, didn't do anything terrible, but like I snuck out of the house a few times and like probably hung out in places I shouldn't have.
Break curfew.
Um, yeah, great curfew, but
Hmm.
nothing, yeah, nothing too terrible. I think on a scale of like 1 to 10 of how bad you could be as a teenager, I was maybe like a 5.5,
Okay. That's not bad.
maybe a 6, but not no higher than a 6.
Alright, well, that's not bad either. I mean, because I was the youngest out of 5, and by the time I went through puberty and stuff, because I have 3 older siblings that are 15 plus years older than I am, and then there's, like, a 10 plus year gap. Um,
Oh, wow.
and then yeah, and then it's my older brother and then myself. We are the 2 youngest. So by the time I went through, like, all my puberty, my parents had already had, like, 4 kids run the gamut with like
Mhm.
all the rebellious stages that they had. So by the time I did anything, they're like, "Meh, it's nothing." Like nothing I did amounted to like the crap that they got into. You know, I never got arrested. I never got
Mhm.
I never got caught for like drugs or anything like that. So unfortunately, my siblings, they gave my parents a run for their money, but I wasn't easy. I was like, give me a book, give me a movie, and I'm set. That's it. Yeah.
Your parents were probably so thankful
Oh,
by that point.
I
You
think
were
they
just
are.
sitting in the garden reading books.
Yep. We're like, "Where's Marissa?" "She's reading a book." I was like, "Yeah, yeah, that's to be expected."
They're like they're like, "This is our reward for all of our troublesome children that we raised."
Yes. I like to remind my parents, I was like, can you ever think of something bad, terrible I did in my teenage years?" They're like, "No." I was like, "Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome." Yeah, I do love that. But you said you're also a reader. What would you say, is there a favorite book that you have? Maybe something that you read like a million and a half times, or like the one that just has really stuck out to you? Do you have a favorite book?
I have a favorite nonfiction book
Okay.
that I recommend to all my friends. I probably told you about it. Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus
Oh yeah.
is my book to help you in life, in relationships. Um, I read that book. Actually, I was reading it when I started dating my now husband. And I swear on my life that that book helped me cement my relationship because it's super old. It's like one of the first books on love and relationships, I think, really ever written. And it's just all about how men and women are different in the way we communicate, in the way we process information, and how really the concept of the book is that like 95% of all arguments you get into are just forms of miscommunication because we don't understand each other. And it's really crazy because as I was reading the book and as I was dating Carson, I was applying those things that I was learning and I was finding that they were working, just like little tiny things, like how I would ask him to do something. And, you know, I feel like in relationships, like guys, you just fight with each other over like stupid things. Like, will you take out the trash? Like, please, will you take it? Why do I have to ask you 10 times to take out the trash? You
Hmm.
know, tiny things. And yeah, I swear by that book. I recommend it to every girl that I meet. I'm like, this book changed my life. You have to read it. So that's my spiel on my favorite book. And I've been telling people that for like 8 years. And I think only maybe 3 or 4 girls have actually like gotten the book and read it. And I'm like, girls, this will change your life. You have to read the book.
Okay, I'm putting it in my Amazon cart now. No,
Do it.
I think you did tell me that. I think it might have been the last time we actually talked, because we were talking about relationships and my heartbreak that I've been going through. But yeah, and I think that's the thing. It's communication is so important, and the little nuances and like change of words in a sentence structure and how that actually affects people differently than the way you would have said it this way instead. um it's I think we have to, because they don't really teach that in high school, grade school, hell, even in college they
Nobody
don't.
teaches you how to communicate.
Exactly. Unless you're going for a communications major, which I don't even know if they teach you that aspect either. Maybe the most I learned about communications in my sociology classes of how we treat each other rather than how we communicate to each other. And I think that's just something we have to do out of experience. And we learn with that
Mhm.
whole trial and error aspect where it's just, yeah, women think one way, men think one way. We have to coexist and learn how to speak to each other to get something done, And all right, I will definitely read it. I've definitely heard of it, but I haven't read it. So if it helps people in life, I am always up for that. Learning the other way, learning how to shift things to get a
Mhm.
better result, I think is fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, it helped me. Men are from Mars,
Men are
women are from Venus.
Okay, got it. I will I will show you the receipt when I buy it.
Okay.
Because I love reading. Because I'd have to say one of my nonfiction. I think I also told you about this as my favorite nonfiction is The Complete Idiot's Guide to Speed Reading. Did I tell you about that
Oh
one?
yeah, which I
Yeah.
actually need to read because I read very, very slow and I wish I could read faster so that I could read more books.
Yeah, this book changed my life, and it's now the reason why I speed read so fast. People are like, "How did you finish the 600-page novel in 2 days?" I was like, "Well, first of all, let me tell you. Yeah, read that book because it teaches you like all the muscle memories of how we train our eyes and how we just train ourselves of what words we can exclude when we're reading. You don't have to read every individual word. You don't have to read
Okay,
every.
but wait, I
Mhm.
have a question.
Yes, go for it.
Do you feel like you miss information? Because if you're reading it that fast, there's no way you can really like I read every single word because I feel like I want to know every single detail about the scenario.
No, I comprehend things. Maybe this is just me, but I comprehend things way better because I mean, say for example, because I was telling someone else, say for example, you read like a humongous text and it says like this woman walked into a room wearing a red coat and she had these type of shoes on and the room is like a marble statue sitting there and like all these things and then there's another man who's there and she starts talking to this guy and they're like, "Oh, what's for dinner today?" I'm like, what's the takeaway from that conversation? There are 2 people in the room. It's a pretty room. They're talking about dinner.
Mhm.
That's all you really need to know. Like, all these superfluous dialogue, like the shoes, what does that add to the conversation? Nothing. The coat that she's wearing, what does that add? Nothing. The only takeaways that there are 2 people talking about food. So,
Mhm.
and I think it also varies on, what books you're reading, like, what is the need? What do you need to remember? What do you need to comprehend? Compared to all the details that quote unquote, fill a book. But when you, at the end of it, say, there was just a book I read, Water for Elephants, just recently. There was only maybe
Love
through,
that book.
yes, you've read it? Yeah. If you think about it,
Long time ago.
there are really only
Mhm.
3 big events in that book that's memorable. The characters you don't really remember. The places you are, what time, like during the Great Depression, but like what things you don't remember that add to the story or didn't add to the story. There's really only 3 events in that book that are memorable, and that's all you need to know.
So you're basically reading the outline of the book.
You could say that. You could say that, but there are some books that I go to and I'm like, "Yep, that's it." Like every detail. Um Complete Idiot's Guide to Speed Reading because it just teaches you like the differences of changing. There are some people who read, but they also like speak the words, whisper the words out loud. That's actually slowing your brain down because now you're physically doing something while visually reading. So your brain is already splitting in different ways of trying to do something. Um, the whole finger tracing, some people like take their
Mhm.
fingers and run down a page that actually helps focus their eyes of where to look. The whole spacing, spreading your eyes apart and using your peripheral vision of a page instead of going like left to right. Yeah, there's just a lot of actual techniques in that book that it teaches you how to just read faster, and I think that part's
I
fascinating.
feel like you should be like in a league for speed reading or something.
I know, I should. No, I don't want to. But no, the cool thing is because also that book is like 360 something pages. By the time you're done with it, like only 2 hours pass because it's literally teaching you speed reading while you're speed reading the book. You're like, holy shit, I did it. Yeah, that book
Okay, maybe
blew
I'll
my
check that one
mind.
out.
Yeah. I'll check out your book if you check out mine. How about that?
Okay,
That fair?
deal.
That fair? All right. Do you
Yeah.
have like an artist or someone who just gave you like the best piece of advice that you follow has just stuck with you for like your entire life?
I wouldn't say an artist, but I did find a quote when I was probably in high school that stuck with me my whole life. I guess it was kind of like my mantra of life without me really like knowing what that was, before I realized like what mantras were and what affirmations were and what manifestation is, like just when I was like, oh, I like that quote. It sounds a little bit corny now.
No,
but
no.
it's go confidently in your dreams, live the life you have imagined.
Oh,
And actually, I found it because I would always keep journals. And so at the top of every year, I would buy a new journal. And I remember I found that quote on a journal one year, and it stuck with me. I resonated with it. And yeah, that's kind of been the guiding quote of my life up until now.
that's beautiful and that's deep. I googled it. Is it Henry David Thoreau?
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah, there you go. I believe he was in the Romanticist. That is that the era it's called? Yeah, Romanticism literature. I believe he falls under that category. Or Henry David. Like there was like a time period where a bunch of writers from Europe would like write the characters about romance, but like the spectacle of like seeing everything in a beautiful way, like nature and beauty.
Oh yeah.
Like they made it glamorous, and despite all the
Mhm.
wars that are happening, they romanticize like everything that
Eyes
they saw.
everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Then no, that's a beautiful quote. I love that. I know you are sports fitness model and all that. Do you have a favorite routine, like a workout routine, or a favorite fitness coach that you love just like following?
I have a routine now that I have been doing for the last like 6 months that I'm really into. Overall, in general, for fitness, my approach has always been a little bit of everything. I've never really stuck with one type of thing for an extended period of time. I like to do classes because, you have somebody there telling you what to do, getting you through the workout, and it goes by quick and you get a good workout.
Mhm.
Sometimes I go and I do weightlifting with my husband. Sometimes I do like boot camps. Um, but recently, what I've been doing is bar class twice a week,
Okay.
which I swear bar class is the hardest class you will ever take. It's the only class that I've ever almost walked out on in my entire life, the very first time I did it.
Wow.
But it's just so difficult. And I really like it because it's very linked to ballet and that type of art form, and everything you're doing is like elongating and you're just using your own body weight to work out. But it's so hard. The movements are so tiny and it just kills you every time. No matter, I mean, I've been doing it for months, and still every class, I'm just like, this is never going to get easier, is it?
Bar class. I've definitely heard of it. I haven't. I've heard it's intense. Um, and I think that's also what scares me too. And but like I do things that are also intense. Like I mean, I train in Krav Maga.
Right.
That's
You
like
do really intense
super
workouts.
super intense. But when other people say like, "Oh no, it's the hardest thing you've ever done," I'm like, "Is it? I don't know." I like because I'm more of a cardio person. I like the hit classes. Like go fast for 20 minutes and then stop, but like within that 20 minutes I did like a 3-hour workout session. It was like it's worth 3 hours. So I don't know, I'm that kind of person. So is bar class faster or is it slower?
It's medium. It's usually like a 45-minute class, similar to like a yoga or Pilates
Okay.
level, but it's one of those weird metaphors for life too, because you always think of working out as lifting really heavy weights.
Hmm.
And this is, like I said, tiny movements with body weight, or like sometimes you have a 2-pound weight on your ankle. And you don't think it's going to be hard, but it is hard.
Hmm.
And I like it because I've also been doing figure skating a lot, which I used to do when I was younger, and I always loved it. I wanted to be a Disney on Ice performer. That
Yes,
dream didn't happen for me, but
it could still happen.
I It could still
Don't count
happen.
yourself
I
short.
believe that. It's never too late. Okay.
Exactly.
But I always wanted to get back into it. So I did last year and I got a coach and everything. But I found that the bar class pairs really well with figure skating because, you have to hold positions with your skate on. Your skate's about 2 pounds, and the weights that we use in bar class are about 2 pounds. So when I'm doing leg work, it's helping my muscles for the sport of figure skating. So they pair really well. And I'm excited that I've like found this kind of like routine to work off of.
Nice. That's a win-win.
It's a win-win. And it's nice to, because I used to always stress out about working out 5 times a week and I would never plan it. I would just say, okay, at some point today I should work out. And then the whole day I would be stressed if I didn't do it right in the morning, which for me is the best time to work out. Like wake up, go to the gym, work out, have it done, live the rest of your day.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I don't do that, then I just have this anxiety about, oh, I need to go to the gym at some point. But what I've been doing recently too is just I plan a schedule. I say, okay, on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, I'm going to work out some type of workout. And then if I have jobs or there's always last minute things popping up, if I have to rearrange, I either just rearrange or I skip that day and it's fine. It's not so stick to the schedule anymore for me. I'm trying to be more flexible.
Yeah, I've been like that too. As I see as myself get older, definitely in my 20s, I would go to the gym regularly, at least every other day. And that's like, and I had a busy, busy schedule at AfterBuzz TV, and I don't know how I still found time to go to the gym, but I did. I was way more routine in that way. And now that I've hit my 30s, I find me missing a day or two, not going to gym, I'm still fine. I'm still living my life. Like, did the world crash down? No. Like, it's fine if I missed a day. And so I've gotten more relaxed in that sense of like, oh, I didn't work out today. I got to do it. I'm like, no, I'm fine. Like, I find myself more as just maintaining my health rather than the need to actually just be there.
Yeah, I think that's so important because it's one of those things that society makes us feel like you have to go to the gym 4 days a week, 5 days a week. That's kind of what the information we get. So we
Yeah,
feel guilty when we don't. But really, not everybody needs to do that. It depends on your body type, on the types of workouts you like. You just have to find what works for you and then do that.
exactly. I love that.
But I agree. Yeah, there's tons of days where I skip and I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm still fine.
Yeah,
And
still fine.
I'm going to let myself not be anxious about it. And I'm just going to tell myself it's fine.
Yeah. I do that also with the foods that I'm eating because I used to be like really guilty of the foods. Like I ate this piece of cake and they're like, "Oh, now I got to go to the gym." I'll be like, "No, I'll be fine." I ate this cheeseburger yesterday. Again, still fine. Do you have because me being a filmmaker, do you have a favorite film that you love watching?
Mhm. I want to say yes, but there's so many. I don't know
I
if I
know.
could pick just one.
You
I
can say
love,
one or two.
okay. Um, I mean, right off the bat, The Greatest Showman, I like.
Yes.
I actually was just thinking about watching it again. I just really
Hell
like
yes.
any, yeah, I just really like any movies that have some sort of like magical, fantastical element about them. So anything that lives in fantasy, anything that has mythical creatures or magic or
Mhm.
superheroes fighting to save the world, that's kind of my jam.
And music, great music.
And
Okay,
music. Yeah, I
girl,
love
seriously,
musicals.
no, I love you because when I think this was before your time, before you came to Activist, because that movie came out end of 2017 and it was like in theaters at the beginning of 2018. I got so obsessed with that film. I saw it 4 times in theaters. I listened to the soundtrack. I kid you not, because I'm so OCD sometimes. I listened to the soundtrack like 50 plus times. Never Enough was my favorite song. I love artists who can belt. I love Rebecca Ferguson, even though I know she didn't sing it. But I was totally okay with it. I got so obsessed with that film. And I would post like Instagram stories of me just singing the song. Uh, I love that film. So that's makes me so giddy knowing that you also love that film too.
Yeah, I also like it because if I remember correctly, it's like a Barnum and Bailey story, right?
Yeah. P.T. Barnum.
So,
It's mostly P.T. Barnum. Yeah.
okay, so P.T. Barnum, and he has history in my hometown, which is Sarasota, Florida. So around that area, there's a lot of circus history, and they have, you know, they have circus museums, and they still have grounds where I mean, I guess not anymore, but they used to have like circus training and show training and all that stuff. So I've always kind of had a thing for circus life and circus performers and just anything that's live entertainment, live performing, like costumes, singing, stuff like that, which I can probably give thanks to my parents because they were ballet dancers and we grew up in the theater and show business and all that stuff. So yeah, I love it.
That's amazing. That's probably one of my favorite answers to date out of all the people I've talked to so far. I love that. What would you say your favorite strength or quality about yourself that you love?
I think it's my curiosity. I'll go with that because it's one of those things where I've always been really interested in a lot of things and I'm pretty good at figuring things out on my own. And it's also one of those like your blessing is your curse is your gift type things where I'm always trying to do a million things because I'm interested in so many things and therefore I can't really ever get any of them done or become really, really great at one thing in particular. I'm just like
Yeah.
better than averagely good at a lot of different things. And I think that's helped me so far in my life and my career. I can't say for sure, but I don't know. I'm still seeing that now as my life evolves, but in different ways. You know, like with now I'm like, oh, I want to make videos. I want to do this. I'm going to teach myself that or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a struggle and a gift.
Yeah, I too, girl, you like seriously, you are preaching to the choir. I'm the same way. I think people would call that jack of all trades. Yeah, it's just having your hands on everything, having the ability to wear a million different hats and just doing everything, learning it, learning the craft. I love that because that's what keeps us going. That's us as artists and creative beings. It's just learning about everything and wanting to do everything because we have so many interests. So we have to like know how to do everything. I'm the exact same way. And now that this is my show, and I like to feel good about myself every once in a while. What would you say is your favorite thing about me?
Everything.
Aw.
No, but really, I mean, we've always known that we're very similar. And I feel like even now through
Mhm.
this podcast, I'm like, oh, maybe we're like actually the same person in different
Yeah, I was like,
life forms.
I think we are.
I would say your tenacity in life and just in being a person, because I've always found you to be very grounded and you're one of the few people I've met who really knows who they are, accepts it, and guides their life to live the way they want to, which I feel like is very rare, especially in a city like Los Angeles. Um, and you've always been very, very helpful in giving with the knowledge that you have in your head for other people. You know, you've taught me a ton
Mhm.
about things that I don't know or things that I'm trying to learn about. And you're just fun to hang out with. And we like all the same things. So those are my favorite things
Aw,
about you.
aw, thank you, Julana. That's so sweet. I love that. I love that. Well, you're amazing. Like you were definitely one of the few people that I already had at the top of my head doing the show, I was like, I want to talk to Julana even more than we already do, because as like I think she'd be a perfect fit for this show. And seemingly we are like literally cut from the same class. So now that I know more about you, I was like, girl, why are we not doing more stuff together? Shoot. I love that. So thank you so much for being on my show. I love learning more about you, and I love learning more about my friends. So thank you, Julana.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be your friend.